We are live. Whoa, 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 whoa. We are live this morning. How you doing? I'm telling you what, if you saw my messages on Facebook Live, breaking news. Positive news right here. And I have Dayne Pruitt sitting in the wings here. We're going to talk with Dayne here in just a moment. In fact, I even have Dayne on the camera right now. Why don't you put it on Ann here for a second? But I do want to say this. Yes, as far as I can determine through social media, that we had another shooting late last night, early this morning. And no, we do not have any words from our police chief. As of 5 minutes ago, we hadn't had any notifications. I'm going to just say this. We don't know all the details. We only know what is on social media. But I do believe our police chief or the sheriff's department, if it was in the county, it should be the sheriff's department. If it's in the city, he should at least make a statement that there are no details available, but yes, there was a shooting. We shouldn't have to wonder, is this truth? So FYI, in other cities they do this. We got a problem here. I think there should be that going on. Also, James Long has put out that they're going to have a prayer vigil at 7 p.m. tonight at Uptown at the Fountain. So, just wanted to go ahead and put that out since James contacted me on that. So that is what is going on there. But there is some good news for Greenwood County. There is some great news, particularly for 96. And it is a great privilege to, when I heard this on county council there at the end, I said, gotta dial a number. And I called Dayne Pruitt, which I have known for years and years and years, back when he was a telephone rep. And of course he is on county council, and I called him and I said, what's going on? And he is here to talk about us, to give us the scoop. You will have it right here on WCRS. How you doing this morning, Dayne?
Great, Ann. Good to see you.
Thanks
for having me.
Absolutely. Can you pull that mic just a little bit over and up a little bit? You can pull it up. There you go. So what's the big news scoop?
The big news scoop is, and I don't think it's not so much of a secret anymore, but Amazon is coming to 96, South Carolina.
Oh, come on. Why would they come to 96? I can't even believe that. Is that true?
Yeah. Yes. It's been a long time. There are a lot of people to recognize, most notably James Bateman and our economic development staff. I think a huge shout out needs to go to Welburn Adams and the Adams family. They own.
Wait, Adams family. Do we need to do?
No. I know I had to say Welburn's name first so that it wouldn't go into that.
Right.
But yeah, the fact that they were willing to give us an option on the land, and that includes all the land around what we know as the old Adams and Sloan plant on Highway 34 going out of 96. And that was huge. That gave us the opportunity. And then James and his people went to work, and this has been a long time coming.
So you said it's been about 18 months?
Yes. James recapped on the meeting last night that it had been 18 months. I didn't realize it, but yes. And I'll go all the way back to the beginning if that's all right.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, this is so huge. Everybody that I have talked to in the last few minutes has said, does that mean we'll get our Amazon deliveries daily now instead of having to wait a day? Will we get them same day delivery?
That I can't answer or commit to whatsoever. And I think Amazon is strategically looking across the country for these last mile distribution centers.
I guess that's going to take it away from the post office eventually then, maybe.
I couldn't speculate on that. I really don't know how all that part's going to work. I just know, Amazon in 96.
Right.
But yeah, I would say, and I was talking to you this morning, even going back to our history, I'd like to pay a little bit of respect to someone you and I both were close to, Steve Brown, who untimely passed away, a mentor of mine, a friend of yours, and after he passed away and I decided to run for office, a lot of people reached out, and very first gathering that I went to, you were there. And you followed me the whole time. You've been there when we talked about the Conisty Dam. You went with me and Senator Garrett to some meetings, and I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to hear about this, because it's huge. It comes at a time when I believe, Greenwood County, yes, but 96 can use it.
96 really needs it, and we constantly talk about in county council moving outside of Greenwood proper. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people think the focus has been on Highway 25 North, and there's a lot of property up there and some spec buildings, but I go all the way back to when I was sworn in January 2022, and you were actually at that meeting. And after executive session, and when we were talking about, projects like this that we can't disclose to the public, I made the comment to James Bateman before I walked up on the stage that night. I said, why can't we do this in 96? And I meant it. And it just, things just grew from there. But it takes a lot of hard work,
I just have one question. Sure. The name Piranha. Why would one call it Piranha? I mean, I just kind of question, it's Amazon, Piranha coming to 96.
Right. You know what? I'll have to defer to Mr. Bateman on that, because this whole time, and I mean 18 plus months that we've been courting and known about this, or known about the possibility. I mean, it wasn't a given from day one. I never asked him why that code name. So some of them are obvious, and I don't know that answer. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, that's okay. Well, that's most interesting. So, what is the timeline for something like this now becoming a reality?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to defer to economic development, and I know that's the first question everybody's gonna ask. I don't know. Nothing's been set out in stone. The reason that we're having the announcement the way that we did, normally we go through 3 full readings, and the name of the company is announced at the 3rd reading, but they went ahead and closed on the property last week, so it was going to hit.
It's a done deal.
Yeah, it was going to hit the newspapers, and it was going to be out anyway, so we wanted to go ahead and announce it during the meeting like we did. It was a proud moment for council. It's a proud moment for me personally, representing 96, having grown up in 96. The other connection, too, is the Adams plant itself. I was adding up the years. It was 44 years ago in 1982 when I worked at that plant while I was in high school, worked on the weekends. And almost 2 years ago, we sat in that plant and had a meeting with the site selection committee. They had to come out and make sure the whole area was viable, and they were very complimentary. So we knew our chances were good back then. So again, it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Our economic development group, James Bateman, Billy Ray, and Abby, our PIO, I mean, they do a tremendous job. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
So how hard was it to keep a secret for this long, Dayne?
Very difficult. Something of this magnitude, and I think actually word started slipping out. I think maybe one of the contractors started letting it slip, because I was getting phone calls and I was having to do my denial.
You could not confirm or deny. Yeah. right?
Exactly.
Well, how many jobs? Give us the skinny on what you do know about it. Yeah.
Sure. So the information from Greenwood County, it's going to be a 57,982 square foot building.
Is that bigger than 96?
I think it eclipses a couple of the buildings downtown. Yes.
Okay. That's what I meant, 96 proper. Yes, okay.
And if people want to get an idea, a lot of people go to Myrtle Beach. If you go I-95 and you get off the beach exit, I think it's exit 170 where Buc-ee's is located.
Right.
If you take a right behind the McDonald's and there's a BP station, I believe, there's an Amazon facility there. I don't know that this one will be quite as big as that one, but that's an idea of what it would look like. But it's a $20.5 million investment, up to 180 jobs. Now that's going to be a mixture of full-time and part-time jobs. And contract, absolutely a lot. I would imagine a good bit of contract, third-party delivery.
So how does this work? The stuff comes in trucks in there, and then they break it down and put it out to smaller trucks. The last mile, they call it a last mile facility.
Right. That's my understanding. The big trucks will come in, I would imagine, all throughout the night and day, and they will be unloaded and housed at that facility.
But the big question that everybody wants to know, does that mean we're going to get same-day Amazon delivery? That is all that anybody cares about. Same
I understand.
Day. Yes.
And I care about that at my home. I'm an Amazon Prime member as well. I would imagine that would help, but I can't say for sure as I'm not an Amazon rep.
Right.
Might even see some drones. Who knows?
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be neat
cool,
having them flying over the Mill Village during the day?
Absolutely, yeah. Dropping stuff off. Your package has arrived.
Exactly.
Well, this is huge for Greenwood County and for the town of 96. Now, how does that relate to the housing development over there y'all just approved?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably very timely coming together on that.
Yeah, exactly. I think so too. And what I didn't realize would be quite as timely was I was speaking with school district officials, Superintendent Taylor, and learning that our enrollment at 96 has gone down. When my son graduated the year 2014-15, the enrollment at the 135-day mark was over 1,600 students. Now that number is below 1,300. It's 1,294. So, 330-something student drop. And I realize COVID had something to do with it. I don't know what all the answers are, but I hope that answers some of the questions. I believe people have been saying the schools are overcrowded. Well, school board member.
Certain schools are overcrowded.
They may be.
In Greenwood County, there's pockets where they are crowded.
Yeah, and we had school board member Jay Reynolds come to the 96 Town Council meeting on Monday and stand up and give this information. It came from them officially. So I think that in conjunction, and ironically, the property that R.T. Bailey has purchased, and by the way, this is not something new. He actually purchased the property in August of 2022. So, yeah, it's been out there for some time, the possibility of around 180 homes. What was great news is that is actually, if you take a ruler and swipe it from Highway 34 and go all the way over to Highway 246, that whole property behind where the Adams and Sloan plant is and what we're going to call the 96 Business Park, over on the other side nearest our elementary school is where the property is that Todd Bailey has purchased to build houses. And he would be better equipped to answer those questions. But, it brings me to another subject. People saying, we're full and we're crowded, but I went back and looked, and I remember because, as you know, my mom was the town clerk for the town of 96 in the 70s.
Right.
96 had a population of around 2,500 back then. Monsanto was big.
Right.
The school districts were bigger, and then it's like it dropped off to around 2,300 in the 80s, and then the numbers I'm seeing around 2,000, and it's been hovering around 2,000 and 1,900 for the last 25 years. So I would say it's kind of stagnant at this point. And again, we're talking about the town of 96, not any of the outlying areas. So the possibility of 180 homes there. There's another possibility of a subdivision property being purchased out on Little Mountain Road. I think it's great news for 96.
Well, it is great news, but it also, when we rail against the fact of the congestion of Greenwood becoming so, we've got so many developments, and that's what a lot of people have been upset about, and the conversations have been, why not further out? Why not 96? Why not on the south side? Why
now
not?
You get it.
Yeah, now you've got it coming this way, and that will ease some of the angst about right here in Greenwood.
I just want to make one comment about developments in general, and people may or may not like it, but it's...
We are talking with Dayne Pruitt, Councilman, FYI. Yeah.
Yes. So it's, people own property.
Right.
If they choose to sell their property,
right,
I don't think anybody wants me or any member of council telling them they can't sell their property. We can't tell you
or
you
that
can't.
You can't develop your property.
You can't
and
sell to a developer.
A lot of this property. I mean, just for a point of discussion, some of the biggest discussions that y'all have had on property and everything, these pieces of property were already zoned for development.
And that's the other thing, and I'll use the Little Mountain Road property as an example. I had residents come to me, and I wasn't aware it was being sold, so I checked into it. And what I found out was under the current zone, the developer could build 118 houses. He wanted to rezone to, I believe it was R3, which would make 139 homes. The beauty of saying, yes, it's only 21 more homes is we can put caveats in there. We can say, okay, you need to add this buffer, or you need to put in a second entrance or a public safety entrance, things of that nature. But what we can't do is tell you, you can't do.
Yeah, you can't sell. I mean, that is, I think, something that a lot of people don't understand.
Right.
They think that they can stop the development, and in some cases, they may be successful in convincing the developer that he don't want any part of it, right? But when somebody has property for sale and it's already zoned for whatever R number it is, it's going to go. If that's what council really can't stop it.
No, I would call that government overreach. I mean, you wouldn't want me to tell you you couldn't sell your property here.
No, I wouldn't. Don't plan to sell. Every time I say something like that, somebody goes, Ed, are you quitting? No,
Yeah.
I'm not quitting. I'm just saying.
And I'm not asking that question
Right.
either. I just, nothing, our hands are tied when it comes to that
The
part.
one thing that I wish county council could do is say, okay, it's fine, you're selling the property, but why cut it all over and get rid of all the trees until you're actually building? I think that's the thing that is bothersome to me as far as aesthetics in our community.
It would be if the developer is the one cutting the trees. But what if it's the owner that's getting the last few dollars by clear cutting their property?
Well, maybe so. Yeah.
Then, they could clear cut it and then decide they're going to sell it. I mean, again,
Right.
We don't have control over that, and we should not.
Right.
I mean, and the other part of that, too, is if you keep saying no to development, these companies, like an Amazon or whoever else we might be courting to come into Greenwood that will provide jobs, which is what everybody says we need, what do you think they're going to see? They read social media, too.
Of course.
I mean, it's a catch-22.
It's a double-edged sword. Yeah, is what it is. Yeah. So this is, but it is rather interesting how the housing development over there comes together. Then this big because you say 185. This is why I know 185 homes. Who's gonna go in those homes? Well, now we know, folks. Maybe some of these Amazon people will actually come and live in quiet 96, right?
Well, and, I've heard it for years, a lot of teachers live in Greenwood because of the lack of, homes in the 96 area. So you either live in 96 or you live out on the lake. There doesn't seem to be a happy medium. So hopefully some of these developments will offer that alternative, and it'll be good growth.
Well, I think the other thing is now this is going to put 96 on the map, so a lot of service type businesses will be coming, I presume, to 96 also.
Yeah, I mean, the great news about saying that Amazon is your anchor tenant at the 96 Industrial Park, hopefully it will bring others.
Yeah.
That's the hope, yes.
Yes. So this is pretty exciting news, and we wanted to bring it to you right here on WCRS this morning. So, you know anything about the fish kill on the lake, though? Since we're talking here, Dayne.
I didn't do well in biology. And
That's a lousy excuse.
yeah, or ecology. You know, I've seen the press releases, and you know, everything that I'm reading seems to make sense. But it wouldn't be appropriate for someone like me with my lack of knowledge to make any comment on that.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, I hate to see it. It does look like it's kind of localized to one area. You know, and I've heard people say things like, you know, I think, you know, it's a man-made lake, so I think the average depth, I've heard this multiple times, is 15 to 20 feet. So, you know, the lake does do a turnover, and the lack of oxygen, the lack of rain, and those kinds of things have definitely come into play. I mean, it was 90 degrees for 3 or 4 days last week.
Yeah.
It was real hot. We need rain, period.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in a severe drought. The ground is extremely hard right now. So I don't know what impact that has, but I do believe that does play a role.
Absolutely. So, well, what else have you got going on as far as what's going on over there in 96? You got anything else? I mean, I know they got some issues on their council, but we'll stay away from those as they move forward there. But
take the high road, Ann. It's the one less traveled. I always say that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're not going to discuss that. But
you look at downtown and you see what Dr. Eichelberger's done with the 2 buildings that he renovated. There's a restaurant coming in next door.
What kind of restaurant?
I'm hearing that it's a steakhouse. Eric Turner is the owner of the property. And then you've got, I know that Jeff McCutcheon and the Wilkie Agency, they've renovated their whole building. I actually toured it. I mean, it looks really nice downtown. Other things are happening. It's just really nice to see. And, you know, hopefully we can get our schools back to a regular enrollment to help out.
How about the band?
Yeah, you can't say enough.
Year after year after year. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I actually have a standing text, and I guess I'm going to have to send it to, I'm trying to remember his name now that took over. David is finally going to retire, and I'd have a text that said, "See you next year," right after we honored him. I mean, it's amazing what he's done with that band in the amount of time. And I saw it from being a school board member into county council, and you know, I think it's important that we recognize those efforts. I love to do that in our community. The young kids, when they win a state championship at the Parks and Rec level, or whether it's the high school level, I think it's important. Those are our leaders of tomorrow. And but yeah, the band is, what can you say? Hall of Fame effort by David Vickery, and all the parents. You know, it's a process. I mean, the parents and getting their children there, and the trailers, and they take off and go to the competitions, and you know, I can sit out on my front porch at night and hear them practicing. It's really neat.
Absolutely. So now, what about having all the lines for CPW, sewer, all that? Is that all been taken care of?
So yeah, good question. And actually, it was announced on here about a water line, and you know, all of this was in preparation. We knew that the facility needed some upgrading. You know, I think that the plant, Adams plant, where Mr. Mumford has his business, was having trouble with water, so we got a new water line put in, and there's mention about you know, sewer line. The thing about it is that when we help with the sewer facilities that are going in, that's infrastructure for the rest of at least one side of this business park. So you've got, electrical facilities, you've got internet, all the things, gas, natural gas, all of the things that had to be checked out during the site visit, which, like I said, was done 2 years ago. So they check into these things, and what came out of that was the water line being done.
I think most of us don't appreciate how much work it takes and how long, like an Amazon, that it's almost 2 years. We could literally say 2 years to this coming to fruition,
right?
And how strategic these any business has to be on making that next step.
Right.
Now, just out of curiosity, does the state play any role in this?
The Department of Commerce is always involved. They work directly. James Bateman and Economic Development work directly with them on all of our economic development opportunities when there's state money available to assist. I'm not sure what their role was in this. I will say that, people fuss all the time about FELOs, a fee in lieu of tax, and SSRC money and all that. But Amazon did not come in and ask for a FELO.
Well, that just tells you something about Amazon. Yeah, they're getting all our money. That's what it's telling you. Now, another question that I just thought of: how many more businesses with Amazon coming in this park? How much more property? What could it support?
Yeah, the total tract that the Adams had available, I want to say, and I could be wrong here, in the 300 to 400 acre range.
Okay.
So
that's huge.
Yeah, and I think that we were looking at roughly 6-7 possibilities. Okay. It just depends. When something comes in, some of their requirements may be more acreage, some of it less, infrastructure, those types of things. Every situation's different, but I would say at this point, probably in the 6 to 7 tenant range.
Well, I think that's terrific, and I do like the idea that it's at the other side of the community rather than always heading up 25 up that way there. So I think this is a big win for 96. What the future holds is all open to what everyone can dream it can happen, and I really think the very fact that you had been pushing for that was part of your platform to get more there. That and the Conisty Dam were really your two projects. Well, I guess you can go ahead and step down now, right, Dayne? You've done all you can do.
There's probably people that want me to. I enjoy serving. I enjoy giving back to the community. But, it's moments like this that make you feel proud that right. you had a small part in something like this. But it's like I told you before. I mean, that's why I ran for office. I wanted to try to help 96. I wanted to try to help our community and give back. And, we talk about, you were talking about on the north end, and they say good access to 25. Well, I was saying, hey, we're only 25 miles to I-26, right to Newberry. So we're not that far off the beaten path. So we have some advantages.
And there's a lot of room to expand if you just looked at going that route that way. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would say they want to keep their property and keep their cows and everything, but there is a lot of room for development. There's a lot of room for cows and people and business.
Yeah, and I don't mind saying I'm 60 years old, and I've thought this through many times. I am not aware of any new residential development in the town limits of 96 my whole life. There's been some houses built on Kate Fowler Road. I built my house inside of a subdivision in 2003. I mean, there have been houses built, but a new subdivision, there's been none. And, our small businesses, which, by the way, we recognized last night, glad to have Trincy from the chamber at the meeting, play a very pivotal role in a town and a community the size of 96. So we need to take our hats off and applaud what they do each and every day. But it's also nice to have a name, and as I've said before, one of the biggest names, biggest name on the planet to say Amazon in 96.
Nobody's gonna go, what does that business do? that is the point. That is the
Exactly.
point. Yeah, it's going to, and it will definitely put 96 on the map as a place to look at. If Amazon's coming, well, then what else will be coming? So I think that is, maybe that's why they called it a piranha, because it comes and then other things come, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Deadly kill.
Deadly kill.
But no, I'm appreciative for the opportunity that the citizens have allowed me to do. It's humbling to be involved in public service, and it's rewarding too.
It's humbling because you get smacked around a lot, right? you never get to feel really good, right? Because somebody's always going to be smacking you down. I mean, that's just the way politics seems to be right now.
Public service.
Public service.
I don't consider myself a politician.
I agree. Public service. Whatever.
Understood.
Yes.
We agree to disagree.
But anyways, I think it is great. Now, you also have been dealing with, through all this, a lot of personal. How is Tracy doing?
Well, thank you for asking. Tracy's doing good. You know, it was a tough time. You know, it's just less than a month ago. You know, I had to put her on a ventilator for the fourth time. I mean,
and that's not good. That's
no.
Really, yeah.
You know, I was dealing with my kids, and they had to come down, and you know, we had to talk about things. And then the next morning, my son got a phone call that they were going to take our grandson, his child, at 34 weeks. So it was a lot of stress for me to have my wife on a ventilator itself and my new grandson on a ventilator in a NIC unit in Spartanburg. And you know, I applaud my daughter for being right next to me, and my son and my daughter-in-law. And you know, it's all about family for me. My wife stood by me through all this, and I try to do the same for her. But I appreciate you asking. But everybody's doing better, and yeah, just for good measure, my mom decided to get pneumonia and land in the hospital. So she's at the rehab hospital, and she's on the mend too. So
you have a lot of personal issues going on that you're dealing with at the same time. So it's got to be hard because the Amazon is really a high, and then you're dealing with making sure that everybody is in good shape.
It keeps you grounded, and you know, if I didn't have my faith and be able to rely on Jesus, then it would be very difficult.
Exactly. So what did you name it? So what is the name of your grandchild?
Absolutely. My daughter-in-law's maiden name is Ward. So his first name is Ward, and his middle name is Hinton, Hinton, which was my dad's middle name. So my son honored him by using his middle name. So it's Ward Hinton Pruitt. He was born at 34 weeks. He was 5 pounds 2 ounces, and stayed in the NIC unit for 17 days.
And how's he doing now?
He's doing really good. I think he's 7 pounds, maybe 6 ounces now, so he's growing. He's at home with them, and it's just a wonderful time right now. It's a good high, like you said.
It's a really good high. Well, you make sure you tell Tracy that we're all pulling for her, and whatever challenges she has to face, I know that you will be right there with her.
I appreciate that, and thank you again for asking. That means a lot.
Absolutely. So, is there, let's see, is there anything else you would like to share with us here this morning, since you're in such a sharing mood here, Dayne?
Yeah.
And since I know all of County Council's probably listening to see what you're saying right here this morning.
Yeah, exactly. All of my missteps.
Right.
No, it's just, you know, this one was personal for me. Chairman Lane made the comment last night, you know, he said today would be a great day to be in Greenwood, and I'll say the same thing. It's a great day to be in Greenwood County. It's a great day to be in 96. Having to watch this take fold from day one for me, all the way through the process, and to watch it happen, it's huge, and I'm extremely excited to share that news. I appreciate you having me on the air to share it with our listeners.
Absolutely. I just think it's wonderful that it has happened, and that we are moving forward. Now, I just want to ask you a question. I did hear something on county council last night. We don't have a policy on data centers or on solar farms. Is that what I was understanding? That they're going to have to start putting that into their whatever.
So, yeah, some of the zones did have the word solar farm listed in it. They had to be added at some point in time, and just making sure that you're covering all your bases for zoning for the possibility of it. And that was just a first reading.
Right. I mean, I just thought that was kind of a. I mean, I know they were just saying they were just making sure that this is right. Are you aware of any data centers coming to Greenwood?
Yeah, I can't discuss anything that's being talked about. That's always. I mean, it's a topic that seems to be hot throughout the state and throughout all kinds of counties, and Greenwood County gets information on a lot of different things, but we have to evaluate everything and make sure everything's a good fit, and we don't know about it until it comes through Department of Commerce or it comes through our economic development group.
Right. And what is happening with the spec building out on 25?
Yeah, that's just another speculative building, capital project sales tax. And people talked about the first building. I don't know if they actually realized that EA Sween paid full asking price for that spec building. And so we just turn over into another building to keep the business park growing. And, I would say we would expect the same to protect that investment.
Sure. Now, how big is that business park there? Do you have any idea?
We did talk about it from an acreage standpoint last night, and I'm trying to remember. Again, I'd probably prefer you reach out to James and get the exact numbers. We had the opportunity.
Is it comparable size to what's over in 96?
It's really larger. Yeah, it's larger than
the one on 25 is
Yes,
larger.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, these are some of the questions that inquiring minds want to know. But the very fact that it's going to be approximately 185 jobs, it's the last mile, so we do not know whether they'll actually be stocking anything in there so we can get it at the same day. I mean, people, I think this is so crazy. But also, I think this affects our shopping and everything, because people just order all the time rather than go to the store and get it. And I think that's a devastating thing to small merchants too, I think.
Yeah. My daughter, who's in Columbia now, it's like she orders something, she says, "I'll have it by lunch, Dad." I'm like, golly. So I can't promise that'll be the case here in 96 or in Greenwood County, but hopefully people can get their packages sooner.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So, anyways, this is something that we are all interested in. Let me ask you something. I know there's been a lot of angst on county council with certain developments going in and people showing up and this type of thing. But in reality, isn't it great to see people involved?
Yeah, it is.
Rather than passively and you sitting there going, okay, we're voting for this. At least you know where the people stand on the issues. And I think that's important.
It is important, and I think it's great. Last night at the meeting, I recognized a couple from 96, Brian Cromer, who went to school with me, the same age as me. He and his wife attend 96 town council meetings a lot of times, but they've been coming, and I finally recognized them during the district reports. But yeah, it's good to see people involved. I mean, hopefully they'll keep their comments professional and not be negative. You get a lot of that. But I will say there was an interesting story on when we voted on one development, and I will say it was the one on Cobb Road that eventually got voted down, and there was a crowd of people in there that were against the rezoning of it. And as soon as that was over, that crowd left. Then there was another rezone talked about in another part of town that passed, right, with nobody there to oppose it. So it's either you are or you aren't, But another thing going on right now is it's 5 years for the comprehensive plan. And we're also having a strategic plan. And I think that you'll see where Greenwood County is going to solicit input from our citizens. How are other places doing it? I mean, I'm curious to know, how is, maybe not Greenville, but, how are other counties that are comparable in size? How are they dealing with the growth? What are they doing? What are they changing? Again, like I said before, you don't want to just sit here and say no to everything, because that will have a ripple effect on recruiting the businesses and the jobs and the type of growth that we do want. I can't tell somebody how to build their house. I can't tell them what quality they have to do. I can't tell them they got to put brick on it. There's building codes, and, people are, as long as they're following all the rules and ordinances that are out there.
However, people are upset about this sign ordinance guy that keeps going around and picking up signs, and there are a lot of people upset about that. I have heard a lot about that.
Okay.
So just FYI. I mean, we're staying on the positive zone here today. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Just throw it under the bus. Under the bus. But anyways.
It's kind of funny. I have had conversations with a prominent citizen who runs who's a CEO at a company here in town, and he meets with us several times. I've met with him personally and talked about how we need to clean up things around here, specifically around the bypass in certain areas. And I
guess you're not talking about trash.
No,
because
trash, yeah, but I mean,
topic of conversation.
Yeah, dilapidated issues and,
right.
and some signage and all, but so I think if you have ordinances, you need to enforce ordinances, or else they're no good.
Do you think Greenwood County, because this is one of the things they're talking about in the governor's race particularly, is getting rid of certain not laws, but things on the books that are very old, that are not applicable to today? Does Greenwood have do we have similar type things that are really old laws or ordinances that really should be off the books?
I would imagine so. Right. There's been, and I wish I could come up with an example. There have been some things that have come up, and you're like, you scratch your head and say, that doesn't make sense, or that definitely doesn't apply.
Right.
So yeah, I would
think streamlining this type of thing would be a good thing to do in government, whether it's Greenwood County or Lexington or whatever, because there are so many ordinances that just don't apply in today's world.
And I think you actually see it more in the local towns.
Right.
I don't know if you've heard about some. I've read, I see things on Facebook and in the media.
The official news source. Facebook.
Yes, or on the internet where everything's true, right? But I've seen things about crazy ordinances, and again, one doesn't come to mind, but it's usually a small town. And what I would say to that is, an ordinance or rule or law can be created by the governing body at the time, and if it was applicable then, and you got 3 out of 5 people that say yes, then it becomes the law. So yeah, I would imagine there are a lot of things out there, but I would say more in the smaller towns, and sure, I would imagine there's some in Greenwood County. I don't know of any right off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, I think this has been a most interesting conversation. Again, you heard it right here on WCRS this morning. We had Dayne Pruitt is with us here this morning. Very proud. I mean, this is like going through a pregnancy, isn't it, Dayne?
I don't want to say that.
No, but waiting 18 months.
There's no male that's going to say that. And by the way, flipping right back to the personal side, I always make the comment that my wife's more of a man than I'll ever be. In addition to all she's been through, she did birth an 11-pound child.
Oh, my God.
So I would imagine from a female perspective, this might be considered to something along those lines.
That's like how long do elephants carry when they're young? I mean, 18 months. That's a long time to keep a secret, man. And but they really have done a good job. Yes, it has been kind of leaking out, but still, they have done a good job on it. Also, I think we need to do a big shout out because we do have the 96 Historical Park right there in 96, and to have a national park right in 96 is something that most of the time I think us local people don't even give due to, but that creates a lot of tourism over there in
Yeah,
96.
and in conjunction with the 250 celebration that's going on all across the county and all across the state, I think there's an event coming up. It might be this Saturday. Please check me on this in Hodges. Some signage.
Oh, the DAR sign, I think.
Yeah, and we honored them as well last night with a proclamation. So, yeah, there's a lot of positives in my opinion. You know, obviously, I'm biased about the schools, having served on the school board for 12 years, having graduated from there myself. Both of my kids graduated from there. My mother-in-law taught there, so
well, I think the other thing is 96 is always a school district. I mean, I've heard for years people putting their kids over there at school and picking them up and bringing them back and all this type of thing because it is an excellent school district.
Absolutely, without question. I mean, a small community where everybody cares, and you know, good or bad, the teachers all know your parents and their names, and they can reach out to you. So it's a great community to be in, and like we say, it's a great day in 96.
Absolutely. Well, do you have anything else you'd like to share with us this morning?
I can't think of anything. I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate you having me on. Hopefully for everybody, this is good news. I know for me, it was great news. Just seeing this come to fruition after all this time, and hopefully people understand these things do take time. And you know, the question's been asked a lot. We need jobs. We need jobs. And
Right.
I can tell you that, again, James Bateman and our economic development group, Billy Ray and Abby, they work diligently. They're answering RFPs, RFQs, RFI. They're answering these things, trying to bring in the right fit to Greenwood County, because we do need jobs, and we need more opportunities for our residents.
We need good positive growth, and you've got to. If you don't have jobs, then it's hard to have positive growth.
Well, and you know, I know I recognized this before, but I wanted to say it again. You know, thanks to the Adams family,
Yeah.
Welburn, it was a great conversation. You know, we reached out to him, and right from the get-go, he said yes, absolutely. So to have a landowner willing, you know, to part with the property itself. I mean, it's already in an industrial
Right.
setting, but still, he could have said no, or they could have said no. So all of these things have to fall in place, and you know, credit the community, credit the staff, you know, credit the.
You got to have a vision. See, I mean, the thing about it is, in life, in business, you have to be able to dream it. If you don't dream it, if you don't have a vision about a potential, whether it's for a piece of property, whether it's going to be used for housing or for industrial development, you've got to have a dream about how this would look. Then you go out and sell the dream. But without dreams, where are we?
Yeah,
Nowhere.
and I'll be honest, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 2022, I never would have thought the word Amazon and 96 would be listed in the same sentence.
I agree with that. This is huge, and it's right up the road from us. So it'll be interesting to see how all this develops and how fast it actually is. Is there anything that would be holding it up as far as infrastructure or anything?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Again, yeah, we've talked about, you know, the sewer line part of it, but I know Amazon folks have been in conversation with you know, our economic development staff for some time, obviously purchasing the property. I think they've had, and that might have been where the leak came from. There some contractors working on doing some site work or viewing it, and but you know, leaked or no leak, it's still positive news.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I just meant, though, so hopefully that this will start moving quickly now that the announcement is made.
And I've already been asked that this morning and last night, you know, what timeline, and I don't know that answer, but we can obviously try to keep you up to date on that. Get
great.
James, and I'll be glad to give you updates as I know them.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to hope that I know it's a great day in 96, and I believe it's going to be a great day for Dayne Pruitt today. Bringing that all together with the team is really amazing.
Thank you very much, Ann. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for us. What else can I top today with? I'm telling you, I bring you the best right here on WCRS. Again, not to bring it down, but evidently there was a shooting last night, and there is a prayer vigil gathering at the fountain in Uptown Greenwood. I think I saw 7 o'clock. I will be back at 5 o'clock. We'll update you with any further information that we have. So thank you so much. That's going to do it for us. I'm Ann, and this is Penny. Penny, you want to say anything this morning? I can't get you in the shot. Okay. Well, anyways, Penny has a few words she's getting prepared to say, but not today. That's going to do it for us. This is WCRS right here in Greenwood. Drop the curtain, let it roll, and say adieu. Bye-bye, everybody.